like the first thing I would think of is how to like go up there and make money after there's nobody else to save.
Okay. Let's compare. All right, so what are some...
If there's no one left to save, then...
Well, there's going to be people there.
there.
This isn't Noah's Ark. You know what I mean? It's not like everybody got wiped out except for 2 of each animal in like a select family.
Yeah.
There's going to be people there.
I don't know if it's flooded like Louisiana does.
Well, that was the
how
levees.
Panama City, like, yeah.
But yeah, the sea level and stuff, obviously. But what are some? There's some
That'll
legal
be worse.
ways to make a big budget.
That's what I mean.
You go up there with a chainsaw, yeah.
But that's not. Fuck that. The generators is an idea. They're gonna need generators.
Right, but how do you make money doing that?
You order a truckload of them from somewhere.
Just a big ass truck full of generators and drive them up there and go, hey.
When we had the hurricanes, Francis, you weren't here.
No, it was 4 back to back.
So when
My
we had
parents were here.
those, there was no generators in Home Depot. There was no generators in Lowe's. There was no like generators anywhere. So private people just got trucks loaded up with generators. If they bought them for $20,000, probably for however many generators, they probably doubled their money.
And you're still kind of
legally, because you don't have to gouge someone to double your money. You can't like quadruple your money.
right. You can't go crazy, but
No.
you're offering something that's not available.
That's right.
So that price goes up a little bit. You're not screwing them over. They're
Yeah.
probably happy to see you. Oh my God, thank God this guy's got generators.
Yeah, they definitely will be happy.
I'll pay him whatever he wants.
Yeah. There were so many generators when those hurricanes came.
So what are you doing tonight?
Oh my God.
You want to do a road
I
trip
don't have
tonight?
that in me. No,
But-
I would say wait and see.
Wait and see
The
what
thing
happens.
you gotta do is wait till tomorrow, see what they're like saying that they need, and see where you could get it.
And just buy bulk of whatever
Yeah.
they're out of and go up there, even if it's whatever, tampons.
Right. Exactly. You buy a bulk amount
Just
of
a bulk amount.
Those will be gone too.
And just the tampon tour. And just go around selling as many tampons as possible.
Oh, shit.
Triple the price.
Well, yeah. You want to look.
Do you want your...
Certain things, there's a line where you need to help people, but you're not going to give a free generator away.
No, of course not. Because what's a generator cost at Home Depot guesstimation? $500?
Yeah.
That's not a cheap item.
No. You could give 2 of them away. Like if you saw like a family of 4 people that's house just got...
But you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see that on
charity,
every street.
Then some of them, then
How do you
that's a
decipher...
giveaway.
What do you... You're going to end up giving the whole $20,000 away.
No, but I wouldn't be able to do it without giving some of them away.
Well, then
It's
you're going to have a
still
hard
coming out
time then,
making
Mike,
money.
because every single street you turn down, if you can drive down it,
Yeah.
is going to have that family you described. So how do you decide which family to give it to?
I don't know.
That would be your dilemma.
For me to do it, if there was 10 of them, I'd have to give like 2 of them for free to some
Or
needy family.
you bring something else besides, you bring a bunch
Yeah.
of hot food.
Bring something.
Feed everybody
bring the
and sell the generators.
And bring a whole bunch of other stuff to give away.
Yes.
That is the only way I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, because then you're not feeling like a complete douchebag.
No, I would have to. Yeah, I couldn't do it without giving some kind
We
of
bring
charity.
a bunch of crock pots
It has to
and
be a
Tupperware full of
charity.
hot food.
Along with, I mean, God wants you to make a living. But
Yeah.
you also have to give 10% of it away. Whatever
Tithing.
You'd have to, whatever generators we would make, 10% of it, however you would figure that out. Bring in other stuff, you got to give that away.
So wait,
Charity.
let's pause on that real quick. You
Yeah.
brought up something real interesting, and you being a man, a godly man, I'll describe. Okay.
Sometimes.
Well, that's how I described my my father at his eulogy, and he was. But you have your belief, you have your faith,
Yeah.
and so when you bring up something like tithing, my question for you is have you ever experienced in your life the benefits of tithing, or when you didn't tithe, the results of that? Have you ever
Not
felt
yet.
it? So then
I
how can
haven't
you...
felt the results, but how do I know I haven't? How do I know I didn't feel the results of not giving 10%? How would you know? You might think it was just something fucked up that happened to you.
That's true.
How do you know some kind of events that might not have happened to you that were not so great? I don't think you would know how.
It'd be a hard thing to
If that was
gauge.
a charity thing, how would you gauge it?
Yeah, that would be really hard to gauge.
There's no way. But that would be something that wasn't always something I would have thought about.
But why is
Now
tithing
I don't
mentioned?
think I can think of
Why
it.
is tithing mentioned though? Because from my understanding, the entire purpose of tithing is because, okay, if I give 10% of my money to a church organization, the church is supposed to then go around the community and the world and feed the homeless, whatever, clothe the people with poverty. That's what that money's supposed to go to, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you know that money's going to it?
I usually don't give the money to the religious institution
Like
that
when
I like
the
to go
bowl's
to.
being passed around in
I
the sermon?
like to go. I would get. I'm talking about giving direct. I think is better.
When you say direct, do you mean directly to the church or
No,
directly to the
person who needs the charity?
directly to the charity that you think needs it?
Yeah, because look, my preference of where I like to go, which is a temple, being Jewish, I don't always know they're going to give it to the charity I would have wanted it to give to.
So at least you know this way your money's going directly.
Right.
And that's what they're supposed to do. That's the whole point of tithing anyways.
Yeah, they do good things with it. It's just that in my decision on where it should go sometimes wouldn't be the same. Like if they want to buy a new freaking
They want to put an extension on the back of the
elaboration,
chapel.
on the temple, I'm like, fuck that.
I'm not paying for your remodeling.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I want to go help this family
I'd
that
rather
just
do it
got
direct.
lost the husband and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I mean, we pay every month whatever member to be a member there. That goes for whatever.
that goes to
it
somebody's
for.
salary probably.
Yeah, salary, but some charity, I would rather decide where it goes. Publix is the best thing to ever happen to giving charity.
Well, Publix I know does
Every
a lot,
time
but
you go, every time you're checking out a Publix,
they ask you for $1.
you have an opportunity to give $1, $3, or $5.
I always ask for them to donate to me. They never do.
No. But I think that makes it easy. That I like to do because they're always giving it to like food for the homeless or school supplies. They make it easy to give charity.
Yeah, Publix is always part of something like that. How do we get involved in that though, Mike? How do we get it so that every single time someone checks out at the most popular grocery store in the
Yeah.
Southeast, they go, "Don't forget to watch Michael Stone on Second Act
Yeah.
Podcast." Hey, don't forget to. How do you get that
don't-
promo spot of a charity at Publix?
I don't know how that's
Because that's the
done, but
promotion I want.
Yeah.
We could do anything at that point.
I don't think that I think about these things all the time.
Wait,
either.
you do think about them or don't?
No, I'm sure that I don't think about 10% enough.
Think about that where I need to put that
that's the thing.
tithing.
Mostly I'm not thinking about it.
I never think about it.
Yeah.
And I probably should, but life happens. But
Yeah.
then again, it's a constant battle, but for a godly man between the spirit and the flesh, right?
Yeah.
The flesh
I'd
of
rather
the
keep that
world,
money.
right?
But then I think about
But then the spirit,
not a good idea because you're probably not going to make as much if you don't do the 10%.
right? Because you'll be doing something wrong. I have that dilemma too. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I could cut this corner right here. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's corners to cut.
God's gonna see me cut that corner. So later on, it's gonna catch up to me. So I better off not cutting the corner.
Yeah, because look, the problem comes in is because if you're not like 100% absolute follower of whatever religion you're in,
You mean all in?
I'm more of a 70%er guy. I'm 70% in.
Would you call
So
that
then I'm going to
70%
say, well,
though?
shit, 10%. How do I really know that God's not going to allow me to make a lot of money if I don't give the 10%? Well, I like kind of 70% think that's probably the case, but 30% probably I would think I'm not thinking that that's the case. Because I don't I'm more of a 70% in kind of a person.
That's a very honest statement
Yeah.
for a spiritual man to make. But let me ask you something.
It's hard to be
Do you think that 30%?
sure all the time.
Do you think that 30% is when you use God as like and I've been guilty of this in the past, of using God as a shelf God? Here's my 30. Oh, I'm in a bad situation. Let me grab my God off the shelf. God, please help me in this moment. Okay, thank you. Just get me out of this,
Yeah.
please. Whew, put you back on the shelf. Oh no, another bad moment. Let me take him off the shelf, Lord. If you just make this happen, please. I'll be the best person. Thank you. Put him back on the shelf.
It's easy to forget when things are going good.
Faith is not really tested.
Yeah, things are
When
going
things are
good.
good.
It's easy to forget.
But when the world's
Absolutely.
falling down on you and you're going, why?
Yeah. I personally, I don't know how there's people that are 100% certain every second of every day that God exists and He's concerned with you personally. I don't know. There's people that do. I just don't. I get 70%. Look, when stuff like that comes in, I can work it out in my mind to get back to the spot of being mostly certain, but it's not like you go through the whole day without
When you say mostly certain, you're
without
right.
having lots of times where you're not like totally certain of what I just said. So then in my mind, I have to like whatever I'm thinking about, okay, why was I just like not certain of it? I need to go back through to get myself back to where I'm 90%.
But what is that? What did you just did? You just went like this. You said I have to get back through. What is
It's like a
this?
process.
But what is this? I want to know what that is.
That is
You centering yourself, you praying,
like
you
centering
reading the
yourself
book.
back to
Like what gets you back on the spiritual
thinking
track?
straight. What right to get yourself back to that? I don't know. The process that I would go to is I usually can visualize certain things. And I mean, the first thing I'm going to tell myself is, okay, the world is being created every second. Every second, the world is being created. If he stopped for a minute, it's all gone. So it's not like the world was created and then it's done.
Yeah, there's no break.
There's no break. It's continuous. If the
Never
continuous stops, we stop. So that's kind of helpful to me.
Yeah, because it makes you not stop.
Yeah, that's
makes
kind
you-
of helpful. Those are just certain things that it's easier for me to like get back to the place where I'm kind of mostly certain of anything to do with God. But sometimes that's more of a process. So once I think about that, then I can move on to like my next thing about why I believe anything in the first place. So, I mean, for me, it's a process. Growing up, mostly atheist. My parents are atheists. They're Jewish.
Both
did
your-
a lot
both your
of
parents?
stuff. Yeah, I mean, did holidays, basically. I mean, compared to what I would know now should have been done, probably did them like real basic.
Give me an example of that. Like
Like holidays
like
that are
turkey
supposed
instead
to,
of
yeah, like
Thanksgiving. They're like, here's a Cheeto. Like, what
Yeah.
do you? Say Happy Thanksgiving. We said Happy Thanksgiving, but here's a Cheeto. Like,
right, exactly.
but they tried. Like,
Right. So holidays are more like in what we did, like twice a year, going to whatever holidays there were. There's like two big holidays that Jews who are not believers in God, they at least go to these two because
Like the
it's a
Christian that
just in
goes to
case.
Easter and
Just
Christmas.
in case I'm wrong, we better go to these 2 times a year.
Let me see if I'm right, because I'm not Jewish.
So,
Rosh
yeah.
Hashanah's one, right?
That's one
And Hanukkah.
that my parents would do.
And
Yeah, they
Hanukkah.
did Hanukkah. They
Those are the
did.
2 big ones, right?
Yes, but my mom always made it clear that believing in God is ridiculousness to her.
But she would also make sure that she was there
Yeah,
at
because
Temple on Rosh
Jewish is
Hashanah.
different. Because most
That's so
look,
strange.
here's the deal: Jews in America either think you're culturally Jewish and you're supposed to keep these traditions going.
So
Because
it's more ritualistic.
their parents did it because of these certain traditions, and that's like most of the people that I know and like my parents knew growing up. Basically, how it was. I mean, you had certain things that you just kept, which didn't require you actually believing. The reason you're doing it is because God commanded us to do it. No, the reason you're doing it is because
It's a family
like
tradition.
a culture type thing. So that's how I grew up. No God. God is not like a real thing. So then, I think around 1990-ish, somewhere around 1990 or 91, I just got some kind of a book, like, that I really didn't ever have before.
A book?
Like a bug. All of a sudden,
Oh, a
I'm
bug.
like thinking about it more. Yeah.
So the Holy Spirit nudged you,
Yeah. Kind of.
and you went, I don't want to be this Hallmark.
Yeah, so, but then I'm thinking, well, you had to have something. If you didn't have, like, anything growing up, even the, like, tradition part of it, or the, like, cultural part of it, you wouldn't, like, feel anything to get the bug about, kind of. To get some kind of,
Like there wasn't motivation for it. It just
something-
came
there
out of
was no-
nowhere,
it
kind
just
of?
came out of nowhere, boom.
With
And I was
some-
getting high anyway. I was probably smoking a joint riding past this temple in Hollywood. And somewhere it just says, you should go in there.
So you're
Go in and
smoking and
check it out.
wait.
Yeah,
You're like, ooh, that's a
Yeah.
sexy temple.
yeah,
Wait, I gotta go in there. Bust a U-turn? Like, how did that happen?
yeah. So, I really can't remember it too much, but it was just out of nowhere. I just decided to go in.
And this was not like a normal day where people worship?
No, it's not a normal
Just
day.
an off day.
And it happened to be like a Orthodox shul where it's like way more religious than I knew nothing about. Where we went, there was like basic religious kind of stuff growing up. But that was all done at 13 years old. All that's over. For friends that I had and for parents like mine and all their friends, 13 years old, you're done after that.
Just show up to your
You have
2
your
year.
graduation thing at your 13-year-old bar mitzvah, and you're done after that.
Just make sure you show up
On
to
with the
Rosh
rest of your
Hashanah and
life.
Hanukkah temple.
Yeah, so I
And you're
walk
good.
in there, and I'm like, I knew nothing about how that even works compared to
So this was a
I
much
went.
stricter, higher code of
Big time.
Judaism.
So I walk in, and what I remember is basically I went in, it was a Friday night. I know you're supposed to go on Friday night, so I at least knew that much. So when I walk in there, I'm like, so I go to sit down, and it was like nothing else where I'd ever been. I mean, this is the kind of place where like the regular congregants do the service themselves. It's not like where I went, it's like everything's left up to the rabbi. He does the whole thing. You just sit there and
You
watch.
just show up.
But this place like has the regular people that go there are doing most of everything. Most of the whole service and whatever on Friday.
So did they have you
damn.
doing stuff when you
No.
walked in? Okay.
Mm,
You just walk in.
Not
they're like-
everybody, but right, not everybody does it, but
Right.
you could tell that it wasn't the rabbi up there reading.
And these are really people living this.
Yeah, they live in the neighborhood. So I sat down, and there was a guy sitting next to me. We introduced ourselves. As he said, Josie Stone's brother? And I said, yeah. He said, damn, I dated your sister. So immediately I already had somebody that I didn't know him, but
You had a
he
connection.
knew me. So, right, I had a connection. I don't know how that whole thing works. Did I happen to sit next to him? And it's Debbie's cousin.
And this is just some
It's my wife's
random
cousin,
temple.
and he had dated my sister.
Random temple you stopped at.
For me, random.
And then you walk in this random temple,
Yeah.
and there's a guy there that knows you.
Yep, absolutely.
Sitting
my
next
whole
to you.
family.
That's weird.
He was a lawyer. It's not too untypical for a lawyer to know my dad, since he's pretty high up in legal stuff.
Okay.
But it was kind of weird that.
Yeah,
he
it could have been a divine moment.
Yeah, he knew my sister, and I think he knew my dad. So then after that, he's like, so that went on for a few days. So I went to this thing. Anyway, we started becoming better friends. So there was a outreach thing going on.
At the temple.
No, not at that one, but that he knew about.
At another place.
Yeah, so it was like out of some hotel in Miami. And this outreach part is for Jews who don't believe in God.
So like atheist
Who are
Jews.
missing out. Right. That's basically
So-
what this is for. So they have this whole program where they start giving you facts that you've never heard of before. Stuff that's actually in the Torah.
Give me one random one.
Torah
Give me an
meaning
example.
Old Testament.
Give me an example.
So
Just a random fact.
Random facts about how it was prophesized that the Jews would be exiled and then come back to their land. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Stuff that doesn't happen in real life, to anyone else except us. And then they tell you, that just goes on and on. I mean, there's multiple things that you're just like, damn, that sounds pretty cool.
This all
I never
keeps
knew
pointing
that.
towards us being the chosen ones.
Pointing towards that are actually in there, like prophecies that actually happened, that happened. You just didn't happen to realize they were
They were quoted here earlier.
3,500 years ago written.
Mm.
So that's the kind of stuff they do.
When you say the Torah, are you talking about the Bible code
Yeah.
stuff?
They have that too. So
Which
Bible codes were
trips
in
me
the whole
out. The
Right.
whole Bible code
So
thing.
they were the original Bible code people.
Let's explain real quick if anybody out there is listening or watching. Okay, the Bible code. I didn't know what this was. I actually saw it on the History Channel and was like,
Yes.
okay, this is interesting. But the Torah is, I'm going to blow your Jewish mind here, this
All right.
non-Christian guy. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The first 5 books of the Old Testament is what makes up the Torah. Now, what's written underneath the Torah is what they call the Bible code. So basically, they take these anagrams and all these different letter and numeric sequences that are just crazy, and you can type in stuff after. You could type in Hurricane Michael, the hurricane that's hitting right now in North Florida, and you might find something underneath the words.
Yeah, you'll find something that says Hurricane Michael 2018.
Yeah.
Real close to each other.
And some of it's also how it's written.
Yeah.
You might see what's getting hit really hard right now. We just said the place.
Panama City.
It might say have Panama City written falling.
Right. So
Very
they'll have,
interesting.
that'll be in there somewhere.
But Hitler's in there, World War II,
Hitler's
all
in
these
there.
Saddam's in there, it's
Everything.
wild, and it's not used the Bible code as some have tried to use it as a fortune telling,
It doesn't work that way. You can only do
right.
past.
So how do I know what to type
You
in?
wouldn't know what to type
yeah,
in.
the next natural disaster
can't do
or crisis. I don't know what it's called. I could go back after though and
Right.
go 9/11.
Right.
Whoa, all this shit's there. It's
Right.
crazy.
So that was also some of the stuff they had.
Which is further evidence that is the word of God.
right.
That's
Their
crazy.
thing is evidence. This whole thing, they're from Israel, is the main headquarters, but their whole thing is evidence. Okay, so you grew up an atheist because you didn't believe there was any evidence that there was a God and that he at least dictated the Bible to Moses. Well, now we're going to show you all this evidence that your mother told you is not existent.
Mm.
So that was a one-day thing.
It was a mind-blowing thing, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Totally mind-blowing
Did that
thing
change
for
you?
everybody who was in there. There was probably 100 people there.
You think it changed you forever that day?
Totally. Not enough, though, because I didn't quit using right away. So
Okay.
obviously
But
it
the
wasn't
seed
enough.
was planted. But the seed was planted that day.
Yeah. Definitely seed planted. Mind-blowing thing with all of these evidence of stuff. And that was a kind of a change that I made. So then I started going with Debbie's cousin, who I had met that one night.
Before we go further, I got a
Going
couple
all
more
stuff.
questions about this.
Yeah.
One, why do you think those people in that place you went have that branch for the atheist kids that have grown up with Jewish traditions
Yeah.
but don't really live it? They show up and they're kind of Hallmark cookie cutter card, like the Christian that only goes to church on Christmas or Easter. Like, I'm a Christian, and then the rest of the day is whatever.
Well, it's why they have it is because one brilliant rabbi came up with it.
To go, we need to get
why.
God in these guys' lives. But
Yeah.
my other side, the side of that is that, do you think that part of that could be, okay, if I know the truth about God, and I'm going to bring all of you young people in that don't believe in God, I'm going to be the truth to you. I'm going to present to you this evidence, these facts that this God exists.
Right.
What you do with that information is on you after that. So if you walk out that door and decide to throw that away, well, God, if you died in that moment, God would go, I gave you the chance to know the truth.
Kind of. Because it doesn't really stop at the one-day thing. So I ended up going to Israel like a year later. I lived there for about 6 months.
What did you do to prep yourself
smack dab in the
that year,
middle of
though?
Jerusalem with no weed. I was like, anyway, so I stayed
But what did you do
there.
the year, though?
Eventually, you found some weed around Jerusalem, but when I got there, I was like, damn, there's nobody here that's going to be smoking, that's for sure. But that lasted only a little while.
How's the Jerusalem pot?
So, but it was very cool. I mean, they know what to do. They're very experienced at this whole program that they do.
Mm.
So you stay there, and then they just go through like more intense classes of what that one-day thing was basically about. Nuclear physicists come in, scientists from MIT who are religious Jews now, scientists from UCLA who are religious Jews. I mean, these are people that are scientists. They're
High
not
up people.
freaking religious people.
Mm.
So they're teaching you all the science that has evidence that there's a God.
Scientific
And
evidence
science
of God.
that has evidence that some things in the Torah actually fucking happened.
Mm.
So they don't just depend on rabbis. That's the key to this whole thing. I don't know that I would have listened to that. But when you have physicists from MIT and UCLA and whatever other universities,
It's pretty hard to deny those
tell
sources.
you, look, we know you've been told your whole life that science doesn't agree with, I can't say religion because there's a million kind of religions, doesn't agree with God,
The God theory.
but that was all bullshit that people fed you your whole life. But the problem is, to me, when you were in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, there wasn't this science. You had to believe whatever was written in your science books about stuff.
Mm.
So when you're going to middle school and elementary in the 70s, there was only certain things known.
Yeah.
So you're growing up believing for like the rest of your life that same science that you learned like
Is
in
the
high
truth.
school and middle school hasn't like changed or been added to or new stuff discovered. So all the basis of what I have to go on and what most people have to go on is the science that you learned in school, in
Which a lot of times is
elementary,
wrong.
middle, and high school, which like there's tons of shit that's happened since then.
Yep.
Discoveries and whatever, all kinds of stuff.
Or stuff that's been discovered that debunked some of that.
Right. So, I mean, that's like the main thing that for me made me start investigating it.
All right, what were your parents' thoughts on this? Okay, wait a minute.
They were like, oh no.
Yeah, what is my kid
Oh,
doing?
no.
He lives in Israel now, and he's probably learning more than we've ever tried to learn about this subject.
Oh yeah. But
So
it
were
wasn't their
you
fault.
educating
Their
them?
parents were somebody along the way, either their parents or my great grandparents, and this goes for every Jew in America, somebody dropped the ball along the way. There was no such thing. There wasn't any other kinds of Jews. Everybody was Orthodox. There wasn't even called Orthodox. everybody observed all the commandments.
Just all the same.
And somewhere along the line, like your great-grandparents, somewhere dropped the ball because they came to America and they needed to work on Saturday. And that's what happened to most
So
Jews.
traditions.
That's what happened to my
slowly-
family and most every other Jewish family whose grandparents or great-grandparents decided it's better to fit in America and forget all this other stuff. Because before then, there wasn't any other like kinds. Everybody did everything for 3,000 years.
I'm learning. So you think that a good majority of these couple of generations of Jews that came to
Yeah.
America, them kind of having to conform to Americanism, corroded
Yeah.
the real roots of Judaism.
Yeah, so I don't blame my parents.
Wow.
I blame like their parents or whoever it was.
Yeah, it was a whole.
Whoever it was that dropped it, that's who gets the blame.
It was like a generational error
Yeah,
at some point.
generational error. That's who gets. In my book, I mean, I'm just a regular person. I'm not a rabbi or anything, but that's who I say whose fault it is. So, but my personally, so then they say, don't listen to us. You need to go investigate all this stuff.
This is what
We're
the
gonna
people
tell
there told you?
Yeah, where I went.
Interesting.
You don't have to listen to us. Go investigate everything we're telling you. Go look it up yourself, everything we're telling you, and investigate and seek and research if there's a God.
Interesting. So,
yeah, so long story short, I mean, that's how I'm 80% most of the time sure of it.
no, wait a minute. We're
There's
jumping
always
some things.
20%,
Hold on,
yeah.
wait, Mike, you can't do that. There's too many. There's too much juice here to go.
There's too-
All right, fast forward a little
Yeah.
bit. No. Long story short, that's what we're here for. I
Yeah.
want the long and the short and the medium and everything.
So when I came back, I was, and probably 70%, a large majority of the trip I went on was with all like 20s age people who absolutely wanted nothing to do with anything religious, Jewish. They're all Jews, but everybody on the way there was like, no way, we're not doing anything. They're all basically atheist Jews.
On vacation?
Telling you that before 4 weeks was up, girls that came were wearing long skirts, they were wearing long sleeves, they were completely changed. Completely 180 difference on what their lives were like before they got on that plane and to before 4 weeks into being there.
Wow. So that transformation you saw in the majority
Everybody,
of the people, in
practically
everybody,
everybody.
and almost everyone, that transformation.
Yeah.
Do you think that was more evidence of God?
That I don't know, but it's evidence that they know what the hell they're doing at where I went.
Because for me personally, I'm a non-Jewish man, but my evidence of God in my life has mainly come through the change I've seen in people. The transformation in somebody reaching heights they never thought they'd reach,
Yeah.
or somebody coming out of a mess and making it a message. That to me is huge evidence of God.
Yeah, that's all. And that is stuff that you saw in the last year or two, or not.
Yes, in the last year or two.
Right. So I mean,
Mainly in myself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's definitely. I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, for me, I needed a lot more than that. I needed science.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. You get all this evidence. They tell you, we just pumped you full of
Yeah.
all this information. Probably at some points felt like overkill. Now go out and search for it yourself.
No, because here's the thing. Even if you're a Jew, and even if you did nothing religious ever, once you get there to that country, unless you go, you won't realize what
What
I'm
is it
saying.
though? Something in the
You
soil,
can't-
a
there's
magic in
not
the
even-
air?
Right,
You feel it.
yeah.
Would
So
I
it
feel
doesn't
that if
matter
I
what
wasn't
you
Jewish?
believed.
Would I feel that?
Probably not.
So I'd go there and be like, it's just another place. And
Yeah.
you'd be like, woohoo!
That's
magical.
weird. It's hard to even explain because it doesn't really make logical sense.
I've heard that
But
though
it's
from other
not.
Jewish people that have made that
100%.
pilgrimage.
Yeah. So that's all stacked on top of that thing.
That constant feeling.
Yeah. So
Have you ever had that feeling anywhere else in your life? And if so,
No.
what would be the closest comparison to that feeling. Like before you said I do to your wife.
Yeah, maybe that was the closest time.
Like
We had a
that-
pretty religious wedding.
Ooh, that moment, that holy shit moment. Like,
Yeah. I mean, her mom was kosher. I mean, we're getting ahead in the story, but
sure. I just meant that feeling.
Yeah, no, it was there. I mean, our wedding was kind of pretty much. I had never been to a religious Jewish wedding before.
Until you had
Until
one.
I had one. Yeah.
Welcome.
So that is. I mean, look. So all right, back to the
feeling.
Yeah. So I came back, but I mean, most of the feeling was make sure that I have enough weed to get through the next few days. So, but it didn't go away. But it kind of stayed in the background. I mean, while you're still using, it's kind of hard, but it comes up. And it shows up while you're stuck in addiction.
So
once you have it, it doesn't go away. It just shows up here and there.
If you hadn't been smoking as much pot, do you think you would have felt that more?
Oh, probably. I
So
think
you think it, like that substance numbed it a little bit?
Yeah.
But you're saying you still felt like little
It
increments
shows
of it.
up. So it would show up over the next however many years that it took. But I think that once you have that, it doesn't really go away. So that's how I met Debbie, was through her cousin that I had sat next to that day.
Right, in that divine meeting.
So yeah, then all the next thing I know, we're dating and then we're getting married, and I pulled the fucking wool over her eyes so bad.
How do you
I mean,
mean?
she had no idea what she was getting into.
How do you mean?
Drugs wise.
So you were a party kid
Yeah.
on the low,
Yeah.
and she didn't know?
Fuck no, she didn't know what she was getting into.
So you were like, man, I got this girl
So-
fooled.
Well, I'm sure I didn't think that,
Right.
but looking back on it, she didn't know what she was getting into. And so, I mean, that's
But she
just
had
how
what
it
she
happens.
wanted.
A
What
lot
did
of
she have that
times
you
when
attracted
you get
to?
married to an addict or an alcoholic, because you don't know what the fuck you're in for. Even a lot of times you don't know. So she really had no idea, and I'm sure there's lots of stuff about her that made her marry somebody who was fucked up. But
Let me ask you
because
about
I
her.
had it so fucking looking good on the outside.
Yeah, like, I got it all together.
Yeah, I had it all together until you don't.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about your wife for a second. When you first met her, and I'm not talking anything physical or anything like that. What are the energies or the characteristics or the feelings that drew you to her? Because you've been married how long now?
25.
Okay, so that's a successful marriage in a country
Well,
that
no, we got
in a
divorced.
world. Okay, so then
We got divorced,
and remarried.
and yeah, for like a year or two.
That's still a
whole
successful
nother
marriage.
story.
That's a successful marriage to me. But what? were
Or
the
that's
qualities?
somebody stupid who went back and married a drug addict when she shouldn't have. You could put it two ways, right?
You could, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But what were some of the qualities that here's this young man who's got a substance issue, who's
Yeah.
always more concerned about his pot supply
Yeah.
than really what's in front of him. But you get this random bug one day smoking a joint, driving down the street, and you go,
Yeah.
"This is weird. You know what I need? I feel like I need to go in that temple right there." So you bust a U-turn, you put your joint out, you go into the temple, you're sitting there. Whoa, this is not like, this is way more intense than what I grew up with. But you sit there, and then you know a guy that you sit next to, or he knows you.
Yeah, you know.
Then you meet your wife through this guy.
Yeah.
See, this all sounds like divine meeting to me.
Well, that's what some would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like before this, I had already had a daughter. So this is at this point I already have a 7-year-old.
Serious
live with me.
responsibilities.
Yeah, she didn't live with me, and I already. But by this time, my whole view had changed. I mean, marrying someone Jewish was 100% must. There was no possible way that anything, even using drugs, even fucked up. That is, like, there's certain things that you.
There's
either
non-negotiables.
They're non-negotiables.
Yes.
They're
Deal
absolutely
breakers.
non-negotiables. So, I mean, that's one thing she had going for her. She, attraction wise is one thing, but she also, when you have a 7-year-old, Jewish girls that I had met at these like get-togethers and stuff, they'd be like, "Yeah, we want to go out." Yeah, but then you pop that on them. A lot of them, especially religious ones. So most of the like religious girls that I went out with that I would have thought were good looking and I wanted to marry, but you got to tell them sooner or later
Sure.
that you have a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old. So, but she was cool with that. So that made a big.
She was probably more than cool that she was into it.
Yeah, she wasn't. Now that thinking back on it, she was into it. So
That's attractive.
2 or 3 things.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then you decide you're going to get married.
So we probably got married way too fast. I mean, it's not like we thought about it a lot. And not being married in Jewish is kind of like not good.
Looked down on?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were
Like
both a
not
little bit...
being married in the like crew that I was trying to be a part
It was a
of.
no.
It was, if you're not married, you're like not part of the.
We're not taking you serious.
Yeah, and you're not really. There's certain things that you don't take part in.
Like,
So
give me an example.
it's just.
Like couples getting together type of thing? Like, we're just
Yeah.
not included at that party.
But if there's certain things that unmarried men do that married men don't do,
Well, yeah.
so it's just a huge part of it. So getting married and being married.
Check that box
in
off.
the crew that box needed to be checked off, like to be part of this new crew that I was
Sure.
trying to.
A little bit
part
more of an
of.
elite group.
Yeah, you had to. So that's a part of it. So we probably did too soon, but maybe it was meant to be in somehow. And
Now, what were you doing for work at this time? When you were first married?
work.
And what
I was
she-
not working. I was still like going to school, living off student loans.
Okay.
Um,
Supporting your daughter with student loan
Yeah.
money, basically.
well, I didn't have to pay that much child support back then.
But even if, Daddy, I want a Happy Meal, you're paying for
Yeah.
that with something.
I had always worked at the family lumber company.
So you had a
Like
job.
my grandfather owned the lumber company in Hollywood. So I went to my uncle, and then me and my cousin like worked there for our whole lives. Then Home Depot started coming.
And there goes the family
So
wood
the
company.
whole family
Damn.
lumber yard. It was a big store, hardware store, and plumbing and electric, all that shit.
That must have been a sad time.
So Home Depot opened up like 3 blocks away,
Bastards.
and it lasted like 10 years after that.
After, through Home Depot,
My
really?
uncle figured out a way to make it last 10
Good
years.
for him.
So, but eventually he gave up.
Yeah, you can't compete with that
So
forever.
me and my cousin were like, "Fuck, now what?" I mean, this is what our plan was.
Yeah, we were supposed to be the shoe-ins
My
to take this
grandmother
over.
was like, "You guys are going to take this over, and that will be the deal."
Yeah, and then your kids will. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
and-
So, I mean, I went back to school. I was living off student loans, basically.
What was your wife doing at the time?
She was in school too,
Okay.
part time. Then I started finding painkillers. I don't remember exactly how when I like tried Vicodin the first time, but it wasn't before I met her. It was sometime after I met her. I don't know
What did that do
clearly why, but that all started at the same time, like
Okay.
right when we first got together.
for you?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So immediately, it didn't take very long for me to be like going through 2 doctors a month.
Now, when you say you first tried Vicodin,
Yeah.
what describe to me and the viewers what that did for you when the first time you felt that sensation?
That I couldn't describe. I don't
But you
think.
liked it.
Yeah, I liked it totally.
You all of a sudden went, I
Love it.
like not feeling anything.
Absolutely. So
So I need more of that. So then you start doctor shopping.
it wasn't that bad at that time, but yeah, it was one more. So that went on. Vicodin started building up. Got addicted to the Vicodin. The first 2 years we were together.
Now, when
I'm
you
sure
say
there was
addicted,
a lot of craziness that she should have seen like right then to get the fuck out of there and run.
I was never a pill guy, so you got to explain this to me a little bit. When you say addicted, do you mean like if you don't have your pill that day, you feel it physically?
Right,
That kind of addiction.
absolutely.
Okay,
right.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
Yeah. So
So that's serious. You're gonna get sick if you don't have it.
yeah.
Can't go to work. Can't function. The day is done.
So yeah, absolutely. You have withdrawals. that went on for like a couple of years where I was Vicodin was mostly the only thing, and drinking a lot.
On top of the
So,
Vicodin,
right.
which it clearly says, Michael,
Yeah.
do not do this with this.
Right, and I wasn't ever a big drinker, but
But
I
that
started
mix.
drinking a lot like once when I met her. I was drinking more than usual. I mean, they were members at the PGA club. So we had a free house. Her parents had a house down here. They didn't live here.
That's fun.
They lived up in New Jersey still. So they had a house down here in PGA. So we got to go to the club, always drinking and
Hanging out.
shit like that. Yeah. So I was drinking a lot more, taking lots of Vicodin. Shit was crazy. Like I said, I don't know how she didn't just run.
And you're driving around and all this under
Yeah,
the
that was
influence all the
crazy.
time. That's crazy,
Totally
man.
crazy. And
Did you have any brush ups at the time, like oh my god, quick disasters that didn't quite
No,
have
none.
consequences for nothing?
no.
Okay,
So I
you just-
started a business cleaning offices. Janitorial like business cleaning offices, which that was like in 1993 or 94, somewhere around there. That was for a couple years. That was going okay.
And you're still using heavily through this time,
Still
the
using
the
heavily.
pills and the drinking.
Yeah, so
What a bad
all this
mix.
time for about 3 months, I kept getting these pains that I thought were heartburn, like coming up through
Your chest.
So that went on for a few months. I'm like taking antacids and shit like that. Still drinking, still taking
Washing it down with
Vicodin,
whiskey and
washing
Vicodin.
it down with Long Island iced tea.
And your liver's like,
So I keep I'm getting this. Got a little worse over like a month or two or three.
Can't ignore it
Started
anymore.
Getting worse. Then when I moved out of there. She moved back to her mom's. We had this apartment. I moved to my little fucking room in some crazy motel.
your man cave?
It was a shitty room in a motel that I just did the cleaning business at night and then drank all day. That was the deal.
That was your
So-
pattern.
Yeah, so I convinced her to like let me come up there for like my birthday. That night, woke up in the middle of the night on my birthday to acute pancreatitis. Went to the emergency room. They told Debbie, "You don't live from it.
He's not going to
Be
make it.
prepared. People do not live through this." And
Get your affairs in order.
get it. Yeah, they told her flat out, people don't live from it. Stayed in the hospital for 2 months in Palm Beach Gardens.
Now, this was from the using,
from drinking.
from the
Well,
drinking.
most people take 40 years of drinking to get pancreatitis. Somehow I took 4
Well, you were drinking real heavy,
because I think my system wasn't able to handle that much
but
alcohol.
also the mix of the
yeah,
painkillers.
mix of that. Yeah.
So we're gonna pick right up when we come back at Second Act Podcast from the hospital on your birthday. Happy birthday, Hurricane Michael Stone.